Hello and welcome to another Let's Interview, and today I have the Rowdy reviewer of TV Trash.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, I am so glad to get you. I am a big fan. Seriously, I love all your work, and I can't believe Hanna-Barbera made a Godzilla cartoon.
That may have actually been one of the more tamer things that Hanna-Barbera has done over the years. And trust me, look, not just Hanna-Barbera. In fact, what Hanna-Barbera did is probably more tamer compared to what their smaller counterparts at Ruby Spears would do in the later years. And trust me, I've got some of that coming up in future reviews.
I can't wait. I saw the Fang Face review. I mean, I know that... what was his name? I know it was someone from That Guy with the Glasses referenced Fang Face, and I was always curious about it. And then you did a review, and I'm like,
I think I think it might have been CR.
That's it, CR.
Yeah, because I've got, well, as far as Ruby Spears goes, I know, I've reviewed Fang Face and now Saturday Supercade, and let me just say, I've got some other more of their stuff, hopefully coming up in the future as well.
Oh, I love the animated stuff. I just love to see terrible animation.
Well, then probably check out Mr. Enter, because he does even a better job with that than I do.
That's how I found out about you. He referenced you as someone doing a review, and then I thought, okay, well, if Mr. Enter watches him, I guess I better check you out, and the rest is history. Yeah, speaking of history, why did you want to start becoming a reviewer? I mean, what made you make that first video?
Well, it just was just a gradual process. I think like a lot of us who got into this thing, I started being enjoyed by watching guys like the Nostalgia Critic, the Angry Video Game Nerd, and Spoonie, and it was just a point in time I started thinking that, maybe I could do something like this. I think originally I thought about doing something maybe similar to the Critic, but eventually deciding against it because I didn't want to be accused of just copycatting him. And eventually I just got to the point of realizing that, I have watched a ton of TV shows in my time, so I know quite a few things about them, so if I ever did decide to do a review show, that would be the focus. For the longest time, I still didn't know if I was going to do it because I didn't know if I had the equipment to do it. But then just around 2010, I believe it was, real early 2010, I got myself an external video capture card that I was planning on using to convert some old VHS tapes and stuff. But then once I hooked it up, I started to realize that, hey, that could be used for, to get the clips for stuff to possibly be used in a review. Then there was the realization that my laptop did in fact have a webcam that could be used as well, and then just one thing kind of led to another, and that's what basically finally got me to doing my first review, which was, of course, of Stripperella, the Spike TV animated show, and it started out going very slow. I think I only had 4 videos in 6 months, but eventually was able to get to the point of at least starting off with a bi-weekly segment, and things just kind of went from there.
Yeah. Man, Stripperella. I remember sometimes catching glimpses of that when I was a lot younger. And somewhat liking it, but now when I look back,
yeah.
At least it's not Gary the Rat.
Oh yeah, that was it. Yeah, trust me, because like I said, I believe that was my first year anniversary review doing Gary the Rat, because ever since I did Stripperella thing, that was actually my 2-year anniversary, because ever since on that anniversary in mid-February, I commemorated that anniversary by either reviewing something else that Pam Anderson starred in, or something else that was in that Spike TV block of animation. The latter of which now I've completely run out of material on, so I've done everything on there. So I still have an idea of what I'm going to do for this upcoming 5th anniversary special next February. That is set. After that, just going to have to be wait and see.
Yeah, hey. Well, eventually you're going to have to run out of stuff. I mean, not everything she's done was terrible, right?
Well, yeah, like I said, I think it was the 3rd anniversary that I actually reviewed VIP and admitted that, you know what, it is something that I kind of had some enjoyment out of watching that show. That show was kind of in the so bad it's good territory.
Oh, yeah, I always like those kind of shows. Just the guilty pleasures. Like, for me, my guilty pleasure would definitely have to be Drawn Together from Comedy Central. Even though it's basically trying to be more dark humor than South Park, I think it kind of walks the fine line.
I think I've gotten some requests to review that, and I might take a look at it at some point.
I think it's because you tore Brickleberry a new one. And can you believe they had a third season? Why?
They're just that network. I think is just desperate for anything. I mean, there's some other shows. Now I can't think of them off the top of my head. But I wonder how they could continue to get extended. I mean, let's face it, 2.5 Men's gone way past its shelf life. Although it probably was somewhat good to begin with, so there is that.
Yeah, a lot of stuff that has gone far too long was good at the beginning. Like, look at Family Guy.
Oh yeah. I probably would have done more Family Guy reviews right now, except for Mr. Enter, we may be able to do it. But I am, in fact, just finished writing up a couple more. I am doing, Family Guy riffs now that are available to anyone who subscribes to my Patreon account. Cheap plug there.
Hey, we have to put in the cheap plugins. I mean, how else am I supposed to get you on here? Right?
Yeah.
And yes, links will be in the description. And it'll be above to your Blip site and your channel.
What Blip site?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Ooh, opened up an old wound.
Yeah. Well, look, I'm moving on from that. Like I said, I've got all my stuff up on Daily Motion now, and we're still.
That's what I meant to say.
Yes, I'm still in the process of getting everything up to Manic Expression's Springboard channel, which I'm now more than happy to be a part of the guys over at Manic Expression, and looking forward to what we're going to be doing in the future with them.
Good. You ever thought to ask Mr. Enter if you can do a crossover with him? I could totally see it.
Oh, believe me, I've sent the request. I've got some ideas. In fact, there's this one episode of the original Ninja Turtles cartoon that either I'd like to see him do or maybe do a crossover. Eventually, maybe I might get around to it. I don't know, maybe the guy's been really busy, just haven't gotten a response yet from him, but I have sent in the requests.
Yeah, I could totally see you two doing it. Have like your audio and an animated, a drawn one doing this.
Right.
Similar to what he did with Pie Guy Rules.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and it's always nice to see reviewers cross over. It's not a cheap way to get views.
Definitely wasn't a cheap way when I did that crossover with the comic strip critic. So when I traveled all the way to Cleveland to do it.
Dang! Wow.
Well, it was like a two-way thing where, you know what? Look, the Rangers were in Cleveland at the time, so I figured as a double possibility I could see some games up there and still get that review done at the same time.
Rangers fan, eh?
You're kind of like a vacation for me.
Yeah, so you're a Rangers fan, really? Well, I'm a fan of the Red Ranger and... Oh, wrong Ranger team. Sorry, I could not resist that terrible, terrible joke.
Oh boy, yeah.
But moving on to the questions, what was one of your favorite reviews that you did? We already know what your least favorite is, which is Birds of Prey.
Yeah, and believe me, I'm actually considering maybe doing a redo of that in the future just to cover the extra stuff I did. But as far as favorites go, you know what? Even after all these and looking back, I don't know if I had more fun than doing the review of Cop Rock, because that show, it was just spoon-feeding fodder for me to use in that thing. And in fact, actually, probably the two reviews I'd love to do over more than anything else was one, actually, is Birds of Prey, just to clear up all the mistakes I made of it. The other would be Cop Rock, just for all the stuff I had to leave on the cutting room floor.
You just want to dive right in.
Yeah, there's so much more I could have gotten into it, just how amazingly awful that show was. That may have been still the most fun I had putting together a review, just this is how amazingly that show was.
Oh, yeah. I can agree to that one. I could tell you were having some fun in that. Oh, man. So, what review do you have planned next? Like, you got any examples of stuff that you do want to do?
Well, I do know. I've actually got it's all filmed and recorded. Hopefully, I still need to get around to editing and everything in time for next week, because I do have another Charlie Brown special review coming up. I get a lot of requests for that. I have kind of surprised how big those have managed to catch on. But I did finally get around to doing one. It's gonna hopefully will be up next Monday. Like I said, I do have another animated Ruby Spears animated series coming up in the works. I still gotta get the footage and write this up, but one show that I'm definitely looking at going after very soon is The Secret Diary of Desmond Pfeiffer.
I never heard of that one.
It's one of those really bad old UPN shows.
Oh.
Now, I believe it's actually been covered by Brad Jones in his BVDR Hell series, and I think the SCOMs series, they also did the pilot for it, but I'll be taking on, like, all of the episodes that at least got made on the air, all 4 of them.
All 4? Oh, that's not a good sign.
Yeah, basically lasted the same amount of episodes as the U.S. coupling did, which I just reviewed.
Yeah.
That one was a long time coming as well.
Oh.
Of course, the stuff shows that I'd like to do, but just have so far been unable to because I just can't get my hands on the episodes. There are some that are so bad that it's like they are completely buried and almost impossible to find.
Yeah, it's like the ET cartridges.
Yeah.
I mean, it took them a while to find them all.
Definitely.
Oh man. I'm just sorry. I'm just a little nervous. I mean, I'm speaking to one of my favorite reviewers. I mean, can you blame me for getting a little tongue-tied?
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, I'm just still amazed. It's been going on for about 5 years for me. I'm still amazed that anybody actually watches and knows who I am.
Oh, come on. Don't sell yourself too short.
Well, I mean, at first, basically, all I was known for was just locally because, back when I was 16 years old for the last, going on 20 years or so, I was basically known for acting like a complete idiot in the ballpark bleachers dressed in full baseball uniform. There's still probably most of the people in this area that know me for that, for more than anything else. But I will say that getting into this internet entertainment industry, it has helped me a lot over the last few years in finding some people and connecting with some good friends that have helped me, at least made me feel like I belong somewhere. I found some good people that I know I can always turn to.
Yeah, I know that feeling when I became a Let's Player. Except that the difference between you and I is that reviewers are slightly more respected.
Yeah, well, that might be it. That might be what I'm looking for here. It might be stretching as far as us getting respect, but yeah.
Respect, infamy. What? At least you're getting attention.
Yeah.
And hey, attention's attention, right?
Something like that. No such thing as good as bad publicity, right?
Oh yeah. Just ask Ania Sarkeesian.
Oh, that's not. Oh boy, yeah, that just.
Ugh.
So that's a whole situation that's. I try to reduce what I try to say about those types of situations, but because more often than not, you're just asking for trouble one way or the other.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, pretty much. If you say one bad thing about her, you're instantly public enemy number 1.
And on another side, you say something good about her, you're public enemy number 1 on the other side.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So, moving on, what is, like, the most annoying thing, like, the most annoying, like, tropes you find in, like, bad TV shows? Like, what's that annoying thing you just hate seeing repeated?
Yeah, probably, if I have to think about what I mentioned more often than not on my show, it would probably be when they just overstock a show with just completely unlikable characters. And don't get me wrong, characters that are meant to be jerks is not necessarily a bad thing. In fact, I think I mentioned this in a previous review. There was a TV Guide article years ago where they listed the greatest characters in history, and Louis De Palma of Taxi made number 1 on the list. He was one of the biggest a-holes in all of television, but he did it in such an over-the-top way, and usually got his comeuppance for what he did, that was entertaining. He was practically a grown-up version of Eric Cartman.
Yeah, and I think that's...
Who's another example. But when you just load up with everybody being unlikable and never really giving him a reason to like even think what they do is funny. It drags down on a show for the most part.
Oh.
I think it's the main thing. And too many often, I mean, look, you brought up Brickleberry earlier. That might be one of the most recent examples. There's just nobody to like on that show.
I know. In fact, when I went go through all the episodes, because I know you wouldn't, I pretty much laughed whenever they got hurt and they got their comments. I wanted them to be hurt. I did not care if they succeeded. I just wanted them to be in pain.
And it was the same problem with Alan Gregory. It was like those two shows like 1 and 1A for me as at least as far as the worst animated TV shows go. And it's the same situation. It's like there's too many writers and comedians out there that I think automatically assume that people being jerks equals funny. But you gotta kind of balance it out some way.
I know. And honestly, there's just way too many a-hole characters who do not get their comeuppance. At least Eric Cartman has gotten his comeuppance when he deserved it.
Yeah, and as much as I dislike that show, at least I admit that at least when they did Scott Tenorman Must Die, they did it in a way where people were kind of able to root for Cartman in that one area.
Yeah, the fact that he went so overboard, they crossed the line twice.
And then you actually had him do something good with what he did to Bin Laden.
Oh, God, that was perfect.
I mean, like I said, that's one of the few episodes that I actually found enjoyable and why I was able to give it a positive review about a year or so ago. Oh,
and by the way, something that you may not know, Scott Tenorman is Cartman's brother. It's found out later.
I remember heard something like that, but I've heard like rumors one thing or another about that. That's how it happened.
Yeah, that apparently is it. Apparently Cartman's half Denver Bronco. Yeah. So I didn't know if you knew. I just thought I'd tell you.
Something along those lines, yeah.
Yeah, honestly. So which is what's worse? The adult party cartoon Brickleberry or Alan Gregory out of those three?
That's almost like you gotta draw from a hat.
That's the unholy
in that
trinity.
Situation. Yeah, almost. Yeah, that's for the most part. And first keep in mind the fact that I didn't care for the original Ren and Stimpy when it came out, and that came out in my generation. But that was just, I've been the type of guy who never really got into the whole gross-out humor anyway, so that just was not my preference. So then when they try to make another one, try to make it adult, which just meant throwing in as many even more extreme sex and feces jokes as possible, because, you know what, let's try to take lowest common denominator and find a way to dig it even deeper with a backhoe.
Oh, God, I know.
That's basically what they tried to do, and it just didn't work, although, from what I heard since then, one of the big problems that show had was, basically the problem, similar reason that John Kay got booted off the original, was that they just took too long producing the episodes. They may have actually kept giving it a shot had he been able to put that crap out on time.
Yeah, I know. Honestly. So what's your take on television nowadays? Like, good, better?
It's very interesting. I don't know about, quality-wise, I'm not so sure, but this is the interesting thing about it. And as I see more news articles about stuff like, The Legend of Korra getting pulled off television and onto streaming and the likes, it's starting to give me an idea that I think we may be on the verge of seeing a hugely dramatic change in television. One that's already coming, because what we've got here is a situation where not necessarily networks, but their sponsors, I think, are losing their faith in prepackaged, scripted, taped material. I think they want to keep their hands off of sponsoring that because of at least their own belief. And I'm not saying this is necessarily true, but I think too many sponsors are starting to think that those type of shows aren't worth sponsoring because if people are watching it on TV, they're TiVoing it and thus skipping the commercials anyway, or they're going online and watching it there. So I think that's why, we're starting to see less and less of those shows on, and that's why networks are gravitating more, first, of course, toward the reality shows that, if nothing else, are extremely cheaper to produce and maybe are still made in a way that people think they have to watch live in person. But the other thing is that why they're getting networks are more and more demanding live event programming, which is why TV contracts for major sporting events, they're exploding. My Rangers, they're about to start this like 20-year billion-dollar contract with our local cable sports station.
Damn.
And I think both teams in Los Angeles, they've gotten major deals similarly done in the last couple of years. It's just a matter of, it's kind of a transitional period where, like I said, you may be seeing more and more stuff that's pre-made and recorded, gravitating more and more toward the likes of Netflix or official YouTube channels and stuff. And just because of the fact that it's kind of where I think where at least the sponsors think that's the only place that it can succeed. And you know me, I've criticized network executives for screwing over shows whenever I think it's necessary. But this is one case where this is a growing case where I think that it might not completely amazingly be the network's fault. They're just doing what they think they have to do because of the pressure the advertisers are putting on them.
Yeah, right. That makes sense. Yeah, that actually gives me a lot to think about, really. That's actually a pretty good thought.
Yeah, it's been meaning to put some type of article online about that. It's probably going to get around to it hopefully eventually. It seems like things keep happening that I put it off, and this seems like it's no longer going to be topical, and then something else happens that kind of pushes it back into the light. So hopefully I will get around to that eventually.
Yeah. By the way, I can't wait to start the new Legend of Korra season tomorrow.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, if it is going to be available online, I mean, it's still there for everyone to watch, one way or another.
One way or another, I'm going to find it. I'm going to watch it one way. I'm sorry, we walked into that one.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually think I got to see Blondie at the State Fair of Texas last year. Whatever that's worth.
So, by the way, you got any more of those, comic adaptation cartoons? I like those reviews.
The adaptations of the comic strips?
Yeah.
Well, I did a whole month of that, so I think try to get most of them out of the way. I'm not sure how many more are available out there. I did consider, doing reviews on Garfield specials, but long-haired creepy guy more or less took care of all of them for me. Because, and of course, I would like to see what would happen if Comic Strip Critic delved into them and just see how he would like it. Because,
oh, God.
He's got his whole issues with Garfield. I think he's actually about to do a review of the Garfield movie pretty soon.
Yeah, I think he is.
Yes, I'm actually really looking forward to that.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
I just wish there would be an a full animated adaptation of Pearls Before Swine sometime. All they've done is make, YouTube animated adaptations of the direct strips.
Yeah, it would be nice to...
Nothing original yet.
Yeah, hell, I wouldn't even mind if it was in, it was CG.
Yeah.
Of course, although it would be funny, the one good thing about having it CG would be to see the crocodiles fail spectacularly in full 3D.
Yeah.
I mean, completely like a Matrix spin, and then of the anvil falling on their head, or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, something along those lines.
I don't know. Just make it intentionally over the top or something. I don't know. Seems like something he would do.
Yeah.
Yeah, although it was a pretty good crossover you did with him, with liking Garfield and him hating the cat.
Yeah. I do wonder how he would take, at least think of some of the better versions of Garfield, like the animated specials from the 80s and the original Garfield and Friends TV show.
I like the Garfield and Friends show. Yeah, and you know what's funny? I actually live in Idaho, and there's this place called Silverwood. There is, in Silverwood, a theater you can go into to watch nothing but Garfield. The old 80s specials and the movies. No Garfield and Friends, though, which really surprised me.
Yeah, well, I think I've got all those on DVD anyway, so I don't think I need to pack up and move to Idaho anytime soon.
I know, but it's just one of those interesting things. And yeah. Yeah, I don't think I have any more questions to give you. I mean, you pretty much just answered everything I needed to know.
Well, if you are interested, I think there's something else I'm hoping to get started pretty soon. I'm actually, like I said, I've been waiting to figure out how I could do this without completely looking like I'm ripping off Nash, and I think I figured it out. But I actually got this plan in mind. We're going to hopefully start up a new series, just calling out all of the hoax stories that get spread on Facebook and the like, because personally, that's something that's kind of keeping ingraining me, just all those fake stories that people keep falling for and spreading. So I'm thinking about doing a show where I actually point those out and then ridicule the stories. Hopefully have to get started up pretty soon.
Actually, I would watch that, and also, since you said that, my aunt fell for the Facebook is charging people on November 1st one.
Yeah, they keep trying to post something like that like every 6 months or something, and it just makes me realize. Hey, look, I'm going to be just as guilty of this stuff as well, because I fell for the story saying that this Halloween was going to be National Kill a Pit Bull Day, and I made the mistake of spreading it. So I'm just as guilty of falling for that, which just makes me want to go after these fake news sites even more.
Oh, man. You know what? Go for it. Like, you can just set yourself up with a desk, make yourself look professional, and just act like you're an actual news anchor.
That's more or less what I've been looking into doing. Is actually coming up with something like that. I just gotta, get the right setup here in the room, which is my bedroom more or less doubles as my studio. In fact, I know you can't see much of it, but my TV trash set. Well, I say set, but it's just the desk where my TV and computer are behind it, like right behind me. If you looked in the other direction, you'd see the backdrop for where the wrestling mark is filmed and everything. And I just need to, once I find a good setup for that, hopefully we'll get that type of series started up, and just need to start archiving all those bad stories and finding ways to riff on them. Hopefully that can get started up soon.
Hell, you can even get your quote-unquote genie to be your co-anchor. Just have her, blink in, just be like...
Yeah, unfortunately, I haven't been able to meet with Lauren recently. I've always been able to use Stockwood. She's had a lot of stuff to do personally, especially ever since she got married and stuff. But definitely, I would love to have her back. Hopefully, we'll find the time to have her back on in some capacity, one way or the other.
Well, good for her that she got married, Yeah. Happy ending for everyone.
Yeah.
Except for you, because you don't have a genie anymore.
It's okay. Like I said, at the very least, we made enough stock footage earlier that I could find a way to use it one way, or if absolutely necessary, in some capacity.
So you're saboning it.
More or less, something along those lines. Yeah, that might be a good way to put it.
References that only nerds will get. Yeah, there is one thing I do like about you. You are willing to admit you make mistakes.
Yeah, look, believe me, I'm far from perfect here, and like I said, I enjoyed watching those F-up videos some of the other reviewers are doing, so I knew the time eventually would come that I'd have to start putting them out myself, which I've done a few of. So yeah, look, all I could do is, like I said, I'll try to correct my mistakes on videos. I actually just had to release a new edit of the coupling video because I thought the subtitles on the footage were German, and people immediately started hammering me saying it was actually Swedish. So I tried to make an edit for that, but I won't deny the fact that I made that slight mistake in the beginning.
Yeah, well, it was easily rectifiable.
One way or the other,
yeah. It wasn't as if you said... It wasn't as if you went completely off. It was just a mistake in language that I'm sure a lot of people would have gotten.
Yeah. Believe me, 6 years, but me personally, in 6 years of Spanish lessons, I still can't speak the language, so I can be expected to probably not completely tell the difference between German and Swedish.
Yeah. Ugh. Yeah, it's like asking someone to ask the tell the difference between Chinese and Japanese if they don't even speak the language. Yeah. By the way, you ever wanted to do anime? Like, you ever think about doing like terrible syndicated anime or dubs?
Well, I do try for the most part try to keep it contained to shows produced in the U.S. I mean, I did review Heil Honey, I'm Home way back years ago, just because that one was so infamously bad I needed to take care of it. And I did do that April Fool's episode where I posed as the cartoon hero to review Sekirei. But I think for the most, as far as that goes, I have also looked at the fact that there's so many other people that are reviewing anime that I guess I don't really know the issue of the point of having to go into it. If I ever was able to I think if I was ever able to do a live show from some place like Akon or something like that, maybe I might do that as a special treat. But yeah, for the most part, I try to keep myself restricted to American-made shows for the most part. And like I said, there's plenty of guys like Bennett the Sage and them. They're already doing a really good job reviewing anime anyway. So I would usually just recommend checking them out for the most part.
Yeah, I guess that could work. Of course, there's only one bad thing about the fact that you've already done Stripperella. You would not be able to do a crossover with Linkara because that's Stan Lee's territory. Yeah,
believe me, there's some other stuff I would hope to review with Linkara, especially because I don't know if there's one thing that if I couldn't cross over with him, I would at least love for him to take on one day eventually, because I think I told him about this. You do know there was actually a comic book adaptation made of Galactica 1980.
Wait, what?
Yeah, and it was published in 2009.
What?
Which I think was done more or less to coincide with like the 30th anniversary or its DVD release.
What?
Yeah, believe me, that's about all I can say as well.
I'm sorry, just what?
Yeah, I think there's so many different things. Like, believe me, I'm a guy. I have my dreams of doing crossovers, especially with that guy with the glasses reviewers. And like for Linkara, I'd love to review that with him. For the Nostalgia Critic, I'd love to review the Get Along Gang movie.
Wait, what?
Oh yeah, the original Get Along Gang movie from the early '80s and stuff. Because that's the stuff I grew up with as a kid. Then, if I ever got to do with Spoonie, I've actually been holding back on Highlander the Raven in this doing that. And then, like, if I ever got to be with the Blockbuster Buster, maybe review the Dukes of Hazzard movie. That seems like it would be right up his alley.
Yikes. And what about if you were with the mysterious Mr. Enter?
Well, like I said, I was looking into the episode of the original Ninja Turtle series, Raphael versus the Volcano.
Raphael versus the Volcano. I'm just imagining Raphael running up to the base of the volcano and just sighing it.
It's based. I don't know if you ever watched the movie, but it's based on that Tom Hanks movie Joe versus the Volcano.
I haven't.
It's almost the exact adaptation of the exact same storyline. In fact, this is one of the reasons, because I saw that movie and then saw the episode. It's already got an idea for it. I think there's some other stuff I thought of, like doing with Mr. Enter and stuff. At the very least, I know since he's a brony, I would love to have him take a look at the original Gen 1 My Little Pony special, which at least my boy Eli Stone, he reviewed it recently in the last couple of months, so I do have that.
Yeah.
But I am really interested in. I've never gotten around to the current My Little Pony series myself, but me and my sister, we were around when the original Gen 1 took place, and that's why, if nothing else, I've always been interested in seeing what so many of the fans of this Gen 4 Friendship is Magic series, what their take is on Gen 1 and its original.
I'm actually a brony, and I've actually seen some of the original stuff. In my opinion, it pretty much was like the Transformers for little girls. Not as good, story-wise, but relatively harmless and heartwarming, and the villains were pretty good, especially the Smooths. And here's the thing in Generation 4. In the last season, they actually brought back T-Rack, who was a villain in Generation 1, and made him even more awesome.
Yeah, Eli actually brought that up when he reviewed the original Rescue at Midnight Castle special a few months ago, so I had heard about that.
I want to see what a G4 Smooths would look like.
It may totally be possible. I mean, like, I grew up with the My Little Pony and Friends TV series, although, personally, I watched it for the Potato Head Kids shorts that occasionally came on with it.
Potato Head shorts?
Yeah, you guys might want to research this. There was a show in the 80s that followed up the movie. It was called My Little Pony and Friends. The first half had MLP shorts on it. The second half, it was either shorts of the Potato Head Kids, Moon Dreamers, or Glow Friends. I mean, this was a whole variety show meant to try to sell Hasbro toys.
Well, what'd you expect? It's Hasbro.
And it was the 80s. That was the biggest.
Yeah,
big
every cartoon had a toy line, and every movie had a toy line, which raises questions. Why was there a toy line for rated R movies? Terminator, Aliens, RoboCop. Why?
Well, they were action movies, so action movies, action figures, it does kinda work.
Yeah.
In some way.
I suppose. Although I always wanted to see the RoboCop animated series. I never got a chance to see that. Yeah.
I may be taking a look at it myself down the line.
Or you might also, I also like some of the superhero, the super animal teams that came out from the TMNT line. In my opinion, one of my favorites growing up was the Extreme Dinosaurs.
That almost made the cut when I did my dinosaur month about last year or so.
Really?
Yeah, but I just only had so much time to work with what I had.
What did it lose out to? Denver?
Well, that Denver wasn't guaranteed, but just I think it was when I decided that I could do that. Dino Saucers and Dino Riders had similar themes. That I was able to do those two, mainly due to the fact that I just didn't have the time to do 2 a week like I'd done the previous. So some of those had to get cut, unfortunately.
Maybe you can do a month of missed opportunities month where you do one episode from 1 month that sort of missed the cut, like the Family Guy episode you didn't do, the Extreme Dinosaurs or something like that. If you
it's something worth considering, definitely.
Yeah, just a thought. You don't have to do Obey Me.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I guess that's about it, and thank you for coming on board, and I really appreciate this.
Sure thing, no problem.
Right, and I can't wait to see what you do with Charlie Brown, because even growing up, he was way too depressing for me.
Well, I'll just leave a little tease of this. This next review, it might be able to pick you up a bit. That's all I'm gonna tease it with for the moment.
All right then. Well, I'm Bren Tenkage, and that's your cue.
And I'm Chris Lee Moore.
And we'll see you later. Bye!